This is my entry for this week's DreamSnap, under construction. Now, I wasn't really sure what to do with this one, until I remembered that when Carl's house floats up, it leaves behind a foundation, and I thought that could be cool to use in a shot. I thought Wally's house kind of went with the theme as well, and wanted to see if I could use the rope part of the Bayou cottage as part of the foreground, putting mud down under the house to help with the unfinished feeling I wanted. And already regretting my choice of building this at an angle, but I knew the sun's lighting would be facing this way. I added the brick with border for my sidewalk, and I did not understand why it did not want to go down straight, and used asphalt with border for my road, and tried to add a driveway, and had to clean that up a bit. It did not want to smooth out. I thought the dump truck armchair could be cool, so I plopped it down for now while I looked for the caution cones. I was also pretty sure I wanted to do a close-up for this shot, so I grabbed the Vizier's alchemy table to push the camera forward. I grabbed the drafting desk, since I liked that it had a map on it, and thought it kind of looked like it could be plans for what my character was building. Checking out some of the other desks that could be cool to use, and decided I liked the wooden crafting station better, as I liked that it had tools on it. Dropping some items I thought could be cool to use, scooting them over, adding some bricks around, and some screws and gravel, and a little bit of soil. Added a table to put that frame on, as I thought it kinda looked like a tablet my character could have been using. Grabbing some bubbles, since the house is floating, so I thought maybe this was a magical construction site, so some floating screws could be cool. Checking how it's looking, and too much of the Bayou house is showing. Scooting it over, checking again. Now you can barely see it. Twisting it and shifting it a little, and that's better. Workbench feels a bit too far away, and is feeling a bit empty in the back, so I need to add some trees. I liked the look of the light birch, so I added some of those. I also liked the thin cypress, as it felt a bit like a smaller, possibly recently planted tree. Extending my sidewalk and adding another house, in case that side is shown on the edge of the shot. Plus, I thought it might feel like this house was being built into a neighborhood. Checking how it's looking. Can't see much of the neighboring house, but I like having it there. But I'm starting to feel like my foreground is too far away from the background, so I'm gonna have to move it closer. Now, I also really wanted to add the old furniture wooden planks. They're from Mushu's level 4 quest, and I specifically hung on to them and didn't clean them up after the quest so I could use them in a snap, and this felt like the perfect opportunity. Adjusting my character's placement. The bench feels too angled, and you can't see the second pile of wood. So, twisting the bench and pulling the wood closer. Checking again. Better, but the bubbles are in a bad spot, so I need to move them. Checking if that helped. Still not sure about the placement, but I'm feeling like I want to move closer to the house. So I need to figure out how close I can get without the house lowering. Then moved everything closer. Checking how I like it, though now you can't really see the other house. I definitely like being closer. Shifting the cone that was hidden by my character, and adjusting the wood pile a little. I also wouldn't mind having Wally or Eve in my shot, so turning them on the map. Checking the look again. I need to adjust the Bayou house, since that's barely seeable, and scooting the wood planks a bit. Checking if that helped. The foreground items are feeling too far apart, so I need to scoot them over a bit. Checking if that fixed it. Now the Bayou house is too close. Moving it over and pulling the crafting station closer. Foreground feels better now. Now to adjust the bubbles. Swapped in some bricks into one of them, adding more bricks and gravel, adjusting the driveway to better fit Wally's house, checking how that looks. I feel like my character is fading into the background a bit, so I want to add a light behind her to help her stand out. Scooting some things around to fit the light. I'm not sure what light is best for this type of thing, but I like to use the industrial tree lamp, as it has light coming off in all directions and is shorter than most others. So depending on your pose, it can be easier to hide behind your character. I also added the fairy garden for some wind, and I forgot to turn the light on, so it's not doing anything unless it's sunset or nighttime. Turned it on, scooted it back. Trying again. And it's still not doing much unless it's at least sunset. And sunset feels too dark, so I'm going to try a lighting transition. If you quickly take the picture right after switching into sunset, You can catch the sunset lighting without the darker sky. It can take a few tries sometimes, but it can be worth it if you don't want the darker sky and darker clouds. Scooting the bubble, wondering where both Eve and Wally went, and realizing I'm going to have to block them in if I want them in the shot. Selfie mode is not working to pull them over. Putting a marker down so I can find my spot again. Pulling Eve over. Checking if that's a good spot for her. Seems okay for now, so I block her in. I apparently forgot to pick up my touch of magic from my previous snap, and didn't feel like reloading to get it, so I grabbed mini pictures to block her in instead. I hoped they would be small enough to not be noticeable. And because this is at an angle, it's harder to judge what size box I need to hold her. I'm not sure why it was so throwing, but it was. Eventually I grabbed the robotic researcher's tools, since they kind of fit the theme and took up more space. And for some reason it was easier to build a box to them rather than trying to figure it out with just the mini pictures. Now to make sure you can't see the blockers. I don't mind seeing the tools, so that works. Now to figure out where to put Wally, and realized I forgot to change him back to his normal dream style, and the suit didn't really fit the construction site. And it loaded me back to my valley after changing him. So, got to put Eve back, and now I can find a spot for Wally. He kinda went there on his own, but I liked that it sort of looked like he was talking to Eve, scooting a few things, checking how it's looking. Wally's a little blocked by my character, so I need to adjust that. Pushing Wally a little forward, and that's too much. Pulling him back, talking to him to get him to turn around again, nudging him a little forward, checking if that helped. And that's about where he started. And I reluctantly decided I wanted to move the entire build down. I didn't like that it looked so empty behind the house, and I wanted to have a neighborhood street back there, which meant moving everything. As you can tell, I have my treasure hunt extravaganza still up over there. I didn't think it would be in the way, but this build ended up coming a lot closer to it than I thought it would. And I had to put Wally's house on the opposite side because of it. Trying to check if things are in the right spots. Grabbing my bubbles. I wasn't entirely sure where they should go, so I just put them there for now. Moving my blockers over. Grabbing Eve. Putting her into place. Getting Wally into place. I thought I'd have him a little closer this time. Checking how it's looking. Too close. Moving the alchemy station back. Needed to move my character to the left, which means I need to move the bio house over too. And to do that, I need to delete part of my treasure hunt build. Scooting over the foreground items as well. Grabbing my gravel and bricks and moving them. Cleaning up the mud. Grabbing another house. Extending the path to the door. Adding more trees. Checking what is seen. Adding Oswald's car. Shortening the driveway since it is way too long now. Shifting the trees a little. Checking how it looks in camera mode. I like seeing the houses back there, but I need to move the bio house over. Checking if that helped. Mostly, but it was starting to feel like I needed to have another house on the left. So, adding another driveway, and grabbing another house. I wasn't sure all these houses really went together, but they were the best I could find. Though I probably should have just used Mickey, Minnie's, and Goofy's houses, so they would match better. But I really didn't want to move them. Checking in camera mode. Feeling better, but something's still off. Moving the light closer to help frame my character. Shifting some things around. Adding some bushes. I like the coloring of the Forest of Valor ones, so I tend to gravitate towards those when decorating. Scattering a bunch of them around. Shifting the bubbles a bit. Checking the shot. And the empty spot on the right behind Wally's house was starting to bother me, so I need to add another house. And the light behind my character needed to scoot over a little. Extending the sidewalk and the road. Adding another driveway. Rotating the car around for some variation. Putting down another house. And filling in more of the sidewalk. Adding more trees and bushes. Checking how that looks. The mud is starting to bother me. It feels like it's covering too much, so I need to shorten it. And the light is somehow in a worse spot, so I need to fix that. Diagonal pathing is weird, but at least I got it to work. Shifting the light, dropping a marker so I can try and get Wally closer. Checking how that looks. I don't like my character's hand in front of Wally, so shifting over a little. That's better. The wood piles are starting to feel like they blend in too much, and I want to twist Wally's house a little. I tried shifting Wally's house, but a bunch of items were in the way, so moving those, shifting the house. I was going to check if that helped, but apparently when I shifted the wood pile, I freed Eve. So I had to go get her again, putting her back, going to get Wally, and putting him back. Better, but the steward bot needs to move over. Adding a driveway for this house. Moving the wood pile since it was hidden where it was, shifting the cone over, checking how it looks. The bubbles are too hidden there, so they need to move. And I want to add another tree to help fill in the spot behind the lot. Moving the bubbles closer, seeing if that helped, and it did, but the left side is feeling a little empty, and Eve is feeling blocked back there, so I want to move her to the other side. Shifting some stuff around to make room, picking up the old blockers, grabbing Eve and putting her on the other side. Going to grab Wally, and apparently I left a gap somewhere, putting Eve back, blocking her in. Finding a way to get back to my spot, grabbing Wally, who thankfully stayed put, scooting him a little, pushed him too far, trying again. I like that placement better, but the bubbles need to be adjusted again. Shifting the wood a little, scooting the tree, since that is the one behind one of the bubbles, and I was hoping it would help. Bubbles are feeling better, but I was starting to second guess the whole floating building thing, and was wondering whether or not it would even read as a construction site, since logically the floating didn't make sense, and my character didn't look like she was doing anything with the building. So I wanted to try and see if I could crop out the house, to see if that would help anything. Now I still wanted to do my close-up, but I wanted the camera lower. So to do that, I crouched, then uncrouched, and immediately switched into second camera mode, which glitched the camera lower, and that worked to cut off the house. But I needed the alchemy table closer. And too close. Now the top of her head is getting cut off, and the house is showing. Trying to figure out if a different angle will help. And not really. So I grabbed a small fir tree, which is another item that can push the camera forward, but it is taller, so you have more camera maneuvering and angle possibilities, but it takes up more room, so it can be harder to get in places. It does allow me to angle my camera down, but it's still not quite working. So I'm trying the third camera mode instead. And that works for cutting off the house. And I kind of like the workbench in the foreground like that, so moving it over and trying it out. The light needs to scoot over. Trying again. My character is facing too far to the left. The light is showing, so I need to move it. Better, but I want to see if I can even out the workbench, and add a few details behind my character. And get rid of the bubble with the brick, since only the edge of the bubble was showing. Checking again. And now the workbench is too far over the other way. Moving it back. Still fighting with the light behind my character, so scooting it over. Checking if that helped. And it did, but the mud is starting to bother me, as the foundation and the wood are feeling like they're starting to blend in. So I got rid of it. And that helped. But I want to scoot the cone behind Wally since it's hidden back there. And that was a little too far over. Scooting it in, swapping out another cone for a mini picture so I can move it closer. And I'm pretty happy with how it came out. If you're curious, this snap took a little over 3.5 hours. Thank you for watching the video. Please like it if you found it at all helpful, and subscribe if you want to see more like this.